friends, I'm glad you're here today. Today we're going to make lunch for Mr. Patient and myself. We are going to make BLT salad. BLTs are my favorite sandwich in the whole wide world, especially with extra mayonnaise, little red onion, and on a croissant. But today we're going to make a BLT salad. Now, this recipe comes from our local newspaper, the Cannon Courier, because we're in Cannon County, Tennessee. We live in a small home with a tin roof in the hills of the Upper Cumberland region of Tennessee. It is just beautiful in this area, as is any area I've ever lived. It's all about perspective, I think. But we have a store in the South, and I think it's maybe other places outside the South, I'm not sure. Piggly Wiggly, and we call it the Pig. We call the store the Pig. And Piggly Wiggly sponsors a recipe column and in the newspaper. Always have, even when I was a little girl, I loved looking at the newspaper, first of all, the local newspaper, and looking at the recipes. Back in Marshall County, Miss Doling Hastings, back in the 70s, I think she's the one that wrote Catalpa News, and she always had a recipe or two, and I loved that. Those are some of the best recipes, the ones that are shared in the newspaper. However, I'm gonna say that I'm suspecting, after reading some of these recipes, these are a little bit older. I can tell by the ingredients it calls for. Like one recipe called for watermelon gelatin, like watermelon jello. I've never heard of it or seen it. Another recipe called for the packet of spaghetti sauce mix, and I don't use that packet. Nowadays, I think people just use a jar instead, primarily. Now, in my videos here in this house, if you hear a humming noise or any kind of clicking noise or anything like that, it's probably one of my servant girls. Don't get excited. I mean that very respectfully when I'm talking about my appliances that help me. Have you ever considered that? Those are your servant girls, and I mean that in a very positive way. I've got my dishwasher going right now. I've got my dryer going right now, and I've got other servant girls that help me. So you got to take care of those servant girls, maintain them, take care of them, clean them, so that they will help you. But that's probably what you're going to hear in the background. Today's recipe, BLT salad, is very, very similar to the my BLT dip that I have in my first cookbook. So from Katie's Kitchen, Volume 1 cookbook, and many of you have this. We have shipped this out for the past several years worldwide, literally worldwide, because people are loving the 205 recipes and my stories. And I'm a former owner of my own catering business, so I've got catering tips, menus, and just things like that. It's just near and dear to my heart, and thankfully and surprisingly a little bit to me, it's become one of your favorite cookbooks because you've told me so. So thank you for that. All right, BLT dip. We make it every Christmas. I don't know why we wait till Christmas time, but we do. And it's bacon, mayonnaise, sour cream, tomatoes, lettuce, and seasonings. And then you mix that together and you dip it, use bagels, torn bagels, and dip it in there. This is super similar, almost the same thing today, except this doesn't have sour cream in it. And I'm going to show you how I mix it up and show you a couple little shortcuts to help save my time and energy. Because with the recent move to from Ohio to Tennessee, my energy level is not what I wish it were. So let's get started making BLT dip. I'm glad you're here and counting your blessings, I hope. It calls for a pound of bacon, it calls for mayonnaise, milk, garlic powder, black pepper, salt, a head of romaine lettuce, rinsed, dried, and shredded, 2 tomatoes chopped, and 2 cups of seasoned croutons. Well, here's what I'm going to do today. I bought these real bacon pieces, and I'm going to use those. I'm actually going to half the recipe for the salad, and because Mr. Patient and I will eat half of it between the two of us. And this salad is not going to last in the fridge, so it's going to need to be eaten. So I'm going to make half recipe. I'm using these real bacon pieces to kind of save myself some time. I feel like I need to draw your attention to the fact that bacon, just like other things, has been reduced in size. It used to come in a pound. Usually now it comes in 12 ounces. So just know that when you're using a recipe that calls for a pound of bacon. And I'm also using this shredded green leaf lettuce. I'm going to use two of the 4-ounce bags. And then if I think that's not enough, I have some leftover iceberg shredded. And I even have more in the fridge if I need it. I'm going to use Duke's mayo because I like Duke's. And instead of the croutons, I'm going to use these crispy onions. I love crispy things on my salad. And so I'm going to use these crispy onions instead of the croutons today. I'm going to chop up my tomatoes for starters. Now, I'm using this tomato knife from Rada. And I got it at Layman's in Ohio. So I will drop a link. Y'all are always asking where do I get the things that I use. So I'll drop a link down in the description box of this video. But this just glides right through tomatoes. Now, I cut off what's called the heel, or what we country folks call the heel of the tomato. And I'm using that. I just took the core out. Let it rest on a paper towel because I'm not going to put this together completely until Mr. Patient gets here. I love a bench scraper so very much. I use this thing nearly every time I cook for one reason or another. All right, now I'm going to make the dressing. And remember, I'm making half of the recipe. So I'm going to leave the recipe at my website, heritageways.com, so you can go and check that out. So just follow the link that I provide you down in the description box. And if you're watching this on a television and you can't get to the description box, just go over to heritageways.com and type in BLT Salad and you'll find it. Okay, so the half recipe would be 1/8 cup of milk. Then a half recipe would be half of 3/4 cup of mayonnaise. Now, I don't do math on days that end in Y, so instead of figuring out what's half of 3/4, I just got me a 3/4 measuring cup and filled it up halfway. It says salt to taste, so I'm just gonna do that a little bit. Then it says 1/8 of a teaspoon of cracked black pepper. Well, I'm not measuring, I'm just putting some. And then it says a teaspoon of garlic powder. Well, so that's going to be a half a teaspoon for us today. Just get that kind of stirred up. It's probably good we're not using this right away because this way the flavors can kind of marry. Or my kids used to say they could get married. I'm just going to set that in the fridge. Turns out Mr. Patient is doing a job for somebody 2 counties away, and he just texted me that he and Little Music Man are going to stop on the way to get lunch. So I guess I'm eating BLT salad by myself. Let's go ahead and get it all mixed up. All right, making just enough for me, one person. All right, I'm going to use this 4 ounces of lettuce. This is shredded green leaf lettuce. You can use shredded romaine or iceberg. Oh, that's a lot of lettuce. But that'll be a nice big salad. I'm going to probably use half of these bacon pieces. This is a 2.8 ounce. Yeah, I used about half. Then we have these tomatoes that have been sitting here patiently waiting. Ooh, I could arrange this all nice and pretty, but I'm fixing to have to toss it up, so. Okay, pretty is as pretty does. We have half of this dressing, since it's only for one person. I don't like a lot of dressing on my salad. Mr. Patient likes a little salad with his dressing. Crispy onions, but the recipe calls for croutons. You can also find crispy jalapenos and other crispy type things at the store. Well, what do you think? BLT salad for lunch or supper, great in the summertime. Newspaper clipping. It's gonna be good. BLT salad without the bread. It's low carb. It's easy. It's one of my favorites. I do think it needs a little more salt. I only use Redmond real salt for everything. I hope you're counting your blessings, and I'll see you next time. I'm gonna eat my lunch.